call Las Vegas the entertainment capital of the world. I think it's the entertainment capital of the US at least, if not the world. But were you entertained? Was Formula One in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Grand Prix entertaining? Is that the last word I can think of in my head?
It is no, I mean, like, it, I think it was entertaining, but all the entertainment was unfortunately off track. They had that whole Mickey Mouse Bellagio fountain. I don't care about. They had the Lego Cadillac cool down room car, which we spoke about in the preview.
Hmm.
I did care about that a little bit. Yeah, it was interesting, right? But there was a lot of entertainment off the track, but that's not what I watch racing for. I think George Russell put it rightly. Other than lap one, it was not the most entertaining race. And
No.
even lap one was entertaining because of Lando Norris.
Trying
And
to beat Max Verstappen, basically.
yeah,
He tried to beat Max Verstappen at Max's own game and failed miserably, revealing once again that there is a long way for Lando Norris to go to become a top level driver. He's still probably going to end up as world champion, but there is a status beyond world champion as well. There is a legend. I think there's a big gap yet to be there. It's yeah, well, I want to put this question to you, Kunal. Like, leave everything aside. Why would Lando feel the need to cover off Max at turn one? Why?
that too on a 150-meter dash. That's the puzzling part. But that just shows what I think Lando Norris has in his head all the time. Max Verstappen. He just knows that Max is going to find a way. And like you said, he tried to do Max Verstappen, but he forgot that he cannot do a Max Verstappen on the brakes, right? He had the intentions, but not the abilities. And I'm not taking anything away from Lando. He's a fine Grand Prix driver, right? Like you said, he's going to win the world championship this year, seemingly, but he's not that legend on the brakes, not that legend in wheel to wheel battle. And he just messed that turn one up. But I need to thank him because that turn one made the race, at least it started off very interesting.
Oh God, did it? Interesting, interesting. Come on, let's bring five things that were interesting about the Las Vegas GP today. Let's begin. I just do you want to talk about
The,
finishers outside the top 10 who went on a longer strategy? Like, sure, all that is fine. Like, do you want
so
to talk about
let's make the list. Five things that made the Las Vegas Grand Prix interesting. Let's do that. Qualifying? Yes, I think it was fun.
crazy? Great qualifying. I think best of the year.
Yeah, no, it was good. So qualifying, that's one. Second, I would say opening lap, turn one, what Lando Norris did, and then the rookies just went all over the place, right? With Bortoleto and Colapinto and Lawson and all of them. So okay, that's qualifying, turn one, lap one, right? What else do we have interesting? Kimi Antonelli, P70 to P5. Well, I don't know if these sort of comeback races are entertaining, but his defense against Piastri and Russell, defense
It
against
was very good.
Piastri and Leclerc,
Leclerc,
very good.
yeah. Yeah, and he was called out of this world by Toto Wolff on the radio, just months after being called underwhelming. So that's interesting. Good story.
Three
The
things:
three things. See, we're already struggling, Kunal. We're
cool down
already
room
struggling.
car, but no, let's put that in the off-track entertainment.
That's not on track. Uh oh, did you notice Lewis had a shiny helmet? That's interesting. Did you
Off-track,
notice that?
Williams looked like Mercedes in some angles. I was like, oh, what's that car doing?
Off
Oh, it's
track,
not. Yeah. Well,
off
okay,
track.
no, yeah, we're struggling. Okay, three things. Maybe next time we should just say three things that made a race interesting.
No, I want to
Qualifying
ask.
will be one, pretty much all the races, and turn one, lap one will be one. So we are setting low bar standards for Formula One.
Yeah, clearly. Oh, I know one thing that was interesting. Leclerc calling Pierre Gasly the P word on the radio because I think Gasly was in the way when Leclerc was trying to lap him. And another interesting thing was Isaac Hajar again telling on the radio that he was almost about to crash because the grip was so low. That I think was interesting. But like this is not how you sell Formula One to someone. You don't tell them that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there was, since you're talking of radio, Leclerc on the radio, Antonelli finished less than 2 tenths ahead of him. And Leclerc
Hmm.
on the radio on the last lap, he was reminded, keep that 5 second gap. And he said, you know what? This is not looking fine. This is not looking good. I don't have the motivation. And I don't know if it was on purpose because there was a gap also to PS3, but Leclerc actually let go of that P5. And he said post race he was furious that he got undercut and overcut in the race by different drivers. He said, "What were we doing on strategy?" So
Wait.
we've
Let's
not got the
let's
five things. Okay.
let's do that again for shorter form content because we need hooks, guys. So that's good. You're watching it live. Leclerc got undercut and overcut in the same race.
Yes, he did. He got undercut by PS3 and overcut by Antonelli. Yes.
So does he technically become the first driver in history to get undercut and overcut in the same race and to get a DNF and a DSQ in the same season?
And get talked down by the president of his company saying focus on driving and talk less and focus on driving or whatever.
While
But
also
yeah,
getting
like,
married in the same week.
yes. And
Engaged.
and and Leclerc was actually saying that he was so frustrated being in that DRS with Piastri because Piastri had DRS from Antonelli. And then he said, I just had higher downforce. There was nothing that I could have done. So just Leclerc things, I guess, right?
I just really want to imagine what the world looks like for Charles Leclerc right now. You're a multimillionaire. Everybody knows you. The president of the company you work for has openly berated you and your teammate for not focusing on the driving and talking about the external issues. And you're in a space where you know there's not much hope left from the team. You just go to Formula One races as a processional event, do your job, and leave. You're starting a creative marketing agency. You're starting your own brands. You're also getting engaged at the same time.
You're
There's so
starting
much
ice
happening.
cream brands,
Or you're
right?
starting an ice cream
And
brand.
and the minute the strategy was called, he actually said, I had a feeling in the car that we had done something wrong. That is Leclerc's belief in Ferrari's pit wall, Sommel.
Is Formula One just an obligation for him, Kunal? Like a contractual obligation that he just has to fulfill? Because I see a lot of different things where there's more progress in life. Clearly.
Well, all the best, Charles Leclerc. We are eager to see what comes next for you in Formula One and life outside of Ferrari because it just seems
Yeah.
increasingly more likely that that's what's going to happen.
I mean, we've all got day jobs that sometimes we don't like. It's sometimes it takes us to different places across the world. It's I don't know. It's an interesting life to have, even for his teammate Lewis, who qualified last for the first time in his career. And sure, you might talk about Lewis's incredible comeback to finish where he did, but guys, let's not forget Kimi Antonelli outshined him in the comebacks today. He was amazing, wasn't he?
He was, and the key insight on Antonelli's comeback was given by Sauber to Nico Hulkenberg because yes, Lewis Hamilton post race asked, "What happened? How did Kimi finish so much far ahead?" And Nico Hulkenberg said the same thing, saying, "What happened to Kimi?" And Sauber said that the hard tire was the most incredible tire to be on. And Kimi Antonelli went onto the hard after 2 laps on the soft. So he's done 48 laps on that hard tire, not to mention a fantastic defense on PS3, on Leclerc. And that false start. Soumil, you and I couldn't catch it on the fan code
No,
commentary feed. We were just like, did he move or did the sensor move with the wind or God knows what?
no, honestly, it didn't look like one. He didn't even cross the line. Like that is
We'll get more replays. But yeah, that
yeah.
was that was Kimi Antonelli, that was Leclerc, that was Ferrari. What other incidents do we have? Gabriel Bortoleto opening lap, he put his hands up saying, "Oops, I made a mistake." So there will be a post race penalty coming for him. I think no, it's already come. He's got a 5 place grid drop and 2 penalty points. So that was quick decision making by the FIA stewards.
Yeah, it was a big oops, I made a mistake. That one. That wiped out so many people and gave Lewis fans their only hope of enjoyment during the race because the rest was just painful to watch, honestly. Not much happening in that front. And
Was it? Because the thing is, Aditya Patnaik is here. He's saying crazy one this was. Vegas is growing on me, the racing and the show part of it.
by
What
the
do
way,
you have to say to that?
national champ Aditya Patnaik, let's not forget. He top guy. And he's also recovering from a crazy injury. So this guy is like on another level if you guys are watching. But I think this case, come on, Patty, you're lying, aren't you? Like this was so boring. Like I what happened? I don't think you can blame it on the track though, can you, Kanal? Because we've seen two really good races here. We've seen really challenging conditions that catch drivers out. And the colder temperatures are what we need because they are an outlier, and that's what makes Formula One fun. I think the blame is squarely getting pinned on one direction, and that one direction is about to change dramatically for next year. I think it's the cars.
Yeah, it seems like it is always about the cars. They're wide, they're heavy, all of that. But we'll get to let's not hype up 2026 before we actually see those cars as well, right? I just believe in one thing which I know you don't believe in. You want Formula One to be the fastest racing series
Yes.
on the planet. I just want them to be the most entertaining racing series on the planet. I just want wheel to wheel action. James Vowles agrees with me. He says even if we go slower, but we race better, that's okay with us. But we'll leave that for our Pits to Podium episodes, which we will do in the off season,
Yeah.
Sommel. But what else did we have in Las Vegas? Should
Oh, we're
we
struggling.
should we get to that? What else do we
Uh,
have in our talking points?
Honestly, I'd love to give like a report card or like a scorecard for the following drivers so that we can just firstly go through their stories, get your opinions on what each of their races were like, and also just give a judgment on how we think they did. Max Verstappen, 10 on 10. Yeah, yeah, fair enough, Kunal.
Absolutely, 10 on 10. I
Yeah,
mean,
10 on 10.
that the way he qualified front row, the way he managed the race, he at no point looked slower, right? And apparently, Lando had fuel issues, very possible. But that's what you get when you go chasing a driver like Max, and you have to do fuel management. Everyone does that. Lift and coast is also for fuels, much as it's for brakes, much as it's for tire wear, much as it's for plank wear as well. But truth be told, Lando was pushed by George. He came out on top. He was pushed by, Max was pushed by George. He came out on top. Max was pushed by Lando Norris. He came out on top. After the pit stop, there was one area where I was really focusing on, as you know, Somil, because we did this together on Fan Code. GP said, we don't have enough time to actually bring in these tires with gentle introduction. And it still didn't matter.
He wasn't gentle with them at all. And the gap just kept growing and growing and growing. Like it ballooned the gap to Lando Norris in the final few laps. I remember paying attention when the gap was around 5 seconds. Then I stopped over to pay attention to some other things that were going on in the back end of the grid, like the top 10 and stuff. And then I tuned back in again. 7.5, 9.5, 12.5, 15. He won by 15 seconds.
And then I think
It's
eventually he crossed by 20 seconds, didn't he, or
what?
something? Yeah. So there was an issue with Lando Norris. Lando Norris was actually told to slow down. His engineer did tell him that it's okay if we lose a couple of seconds a lap in the last 3 laps. So there was an issue that they were nursing on Lando's car. But that issue is not why he didn't win. Lando was just second best today.
I agree with Patnaik though. He's saying such a good thing. Maybe not this one in terms of pure wheel to wheel, but overall as a fan and the dust and the pit stop strategies, when there was a good amount of uncertainty, Lando's issues were what held it back. I agree, 100%. Like this track has all the raw materials for it to be a great Formula One race and an incredible spectacle with Mickey Mouse performing at the Bellagio, with the Lego Cadillac car, with F1 Academy also putting on a really good show earlier on in the day. It has what it takes. It's just yeah.
So we've,
But
we've done
okay.
Max's scorecard, 10 on 10. Who's next?
Yeah. Lando Norris. How much do you rate him out of 10 today?
I would say he
This
was
weekend, rather.
I would say if you take turn one, lap one out, which was a big moment because he wanted clean air, he couldn't get clean air, he lost his clean air opportunity. I'd say 8 on 10 for Lando. Turn one
Yeah.
was the issue, but he was fantastic in qualifying. And maybe I'm being harsh, maybe 8.5 on 10, since I know you love your half points as well.
Oh yeah, I think 8.5 is pretty fair. Yeah, I mean it would have suddenly ballooned up to a 9.5 had he not done something wrong at turn one. I mean, imagine it would have been a totally different race, right? He would have probably had the upper hand, and then clean air and everything that goes along
Then,
with it.
then it would have been more entertaining. Then maybe the race's entertainment would have been higher if Max was chasing Lando rather than
Oh,
running away with it.
maybe that's what we need. The way to make Formula One interesting is not reverse grids. It's not sprints. It's just giving Max Verstappen a 5 place grid penalty for every race. Just that's it. That's it.
Soumil Arora not for FI president. Soumil Arora not for Liberty Media CEO.
Well, I like my white money. Thank you. Other things to rate. Ferrari. How much would you rate them out of 10 this weekend?
I don't know. Can we go negative rating? Is
Oof,
that what we could do? I don't know. I'm being
negative.
harsh. Yeah, because, of course, the rain came, but they all knew the rain was coming, and Leclerc prioritized driving in the rain in qualifying over a better dry race setup. And, these choices and gambles they all make. All in all,
And in
if.
spite of that, he finished ninth in qualifying.
Yeah. But, if Leclerc is unhappy with their strategy, if Lewis Hamilton is unhappy with their strategy, who am I to say that I would rate them even 5 on 10 or 3 on 10? So I'd just say let the
Hmm.
Ferrari drivers rate Ferrari themselves, because that's what's pissing John Elkann off.
Well, I'm sure the miscommunication certainly would, because I want to reflect on that moment in qualifying. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite record after quali, so now's the time to discuss it. Lewis Hamilton crossed the qualifying line in Q1 with 1 second left on the clock, which meant that theoretically he could put in a lap. Now, I'm not sure if he had enough energy reserves or if his tires were in the right temperature, or if there was enough fuel in the car, whatever. I mean, usually you would have at least one lap of extra fuel, whatever it might be. And if you're in that sort of situation, just go for it. But he didn't, because he wasn't told by the team that he had that time. How do you read this situation, Kunal?
I believe there was some confusion in the lights that were shown to him, right? Also, visibility was low, it was raining, and maybe this is something the track should also investigate, because it shouldn't become a puzzle. You want your drivers to be focusing on driving. But having said that, it was clearly something they missed out on. But that probably wasn't the only reason why he got knocked out in Q1 on pure pace for the first time in his career. We've had two back-to-back races when that's happened. Max Verstappen in Brazil knocked out in Q1 for the first time on pure pace in his career. Lewis Hamilton in Las Vegas knocked out in Q1 on pure pace for the first time in his career. Incredible. Lewis was P20 with high downforce. Possible. Very possible. That's
So
what
we're
Suyanshu
going
is saying.
negative. We're
We're
going
going,
negative with
yeah,
Ferrari.
or I'm like, actually, Ferrari's rating should only come from the Ferrari drivers. That's the most
Well,
accurate rating.
so how much would you rate the Ferrari drivers? Because Leclerc, for me, this weekend, solid 7.5, 8. Solid 8, I think.
Yeah, I would say 8, 8.5. Also, given his first stint was fantastic, and then he was just stuck behind two other cars. So, could he have been on the podium? It looked like it. He was the most entertaining driver in the first half of the race, just making overtakes. He even overtook Oscar Piastri. High downforce, but still managed to make an overtake, lift and coast, and all of that. But he was just making the move. So, I think Leclerc was definitely 8, 8.5. And now I know he's on par with Lando Norris, but I guess so. Maybe Leclerc even went better than Lando Norris in the race today,
I
given the
think so.
challenges, given that he's driving a Ferrari.
I think so. I think that Lando qualifying lap just gets you 2 extra points, but then the race and what happened in turn one, you've got to dock a few for that for Lando. Lewis Hamilton, ooh, 5.
I think
Decent
again
win.
Hamilton in 20th place. He just got involved in too many skirmishes. People came hitting him. He had damage. He had brake issues. He said he had no balance anywhere. Lewis was actually talking a lot, despite being told not to talk a lot. He said, "I struggled with balance. I struggled with brakes. I was locking the fronts and rears. There was no middle ground. I was catching Hulkenberg. Mind you, that's a Sauber. I think seventh or eighth in the drivers in the constructors championship." He said,
Ninth.
ninth, yeah, of course, ninth in the constructors championship, right? He's saying a horrendous weekend. So he didn't use the word nightmare, because that probably triggers John Elkann. But he said horrendous weekend, another one to add to the list. Wow. He said I was catching Hulkenberg, but at the slowest pace possible. So Lewis was, again, more car issues, more being where he was, rather than him getting a chance to show his talent.
Honestly, though, I think a real shout out is deserved for Carlos Sainz, for Isaac Hatchar, and for Nico Hulkenberg, who, in my opinion, all three of them deserve a 9 on 10. Like getting points in their respective cars in Las Vegas, given the conditions, given who they were fighting, it's a solid 9. I think, if anything, I'm going to go a step further for Carlos Sainz, who I believe has been a 9.5 this weekend. Hey, top three in a Williams, and he said he had the potential to be first had he lapped later. That is unbelievable, and of course, seventh is what they deserved at the race day. But yeah,
You know what? That's the thing. So Alexander Albon said, the minute I saw the rain, I said, okay, that's it. Our chances are done. So where was Albon? Q1, knocked out. Okay. But Carlos Sainz put it in to Q3 and put it on P3 in qualifying. Then in the race, Carlos actually said, I wish we were more aggressive. We just wanted to settle for seventh, which is good because it's the best of the rest. It's the first time they scored points in Singapore. But he wished that Williams were just more aggressive. He said everyone else around us, and when I say everyone else, is Leclerc, Antonelli, Piastri, they just had a touch little more pace. But yes, I think Carlos Sainz, 9.5. Fantastic. What a season he's having after he's settled in. And then Isaac Hadjar. What's your rating for that?
8.5. He's been good. Like, I think today, eighth was the best he could have gotten, given the circumstances, given where he started and how sort of almost messy his first lap became, and how the Racing Bulls genuinely does lack pace compared to the others. But he
Especially
held
race
on well.
pace. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he held on well, and a lot of these drivers were also the ones who, were gambling. So a lot of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 were all gambles. Hamilton 29 laps on the hard. He started on the hard and then moved to the medium. Hulkenberg 30 laps on the hard and then he moved to the medium as well, including Hulkenberg. I think 8 points finish for him in that Sauber, and they outscored Haas as well, which Esteban Ocon missed points by 1.2 seconds, but largely pretty much everyone in the top 10 deserved that position. You haven't rated Oscar Piastri.
Oh, we haven't spoken about Oscar Piastri.
Okay, what is the message he's trying to send across to us, Soumil? Let's get to that.
What message? I know you said this on the Fan Code Hindi broadcast, but wait a second. For for short form, what message is Oscar Piastri sending to us, Kunal? Enlighten us. What are you talking about?
Why did Oscar Piastri repost that Bernie Eccleston quote where Bernie says McLaren is favoring Lando, he's more marketable, etc., etc.? Why did he repost and then delete that post? Was that on purpose? Was Oscar Piastri trying to send a message to us, right? You said something very interesting. Lando's turn of pace after Monza and Sunfort and, the races where he wasn't outscoring Oscar, that turn of pace has seen a downturn in pace for Piastri. In the first half of the season, when Oscar was fast, Lando was still fast enough. Now, when Lando's picked up pace, Oscar is nowhere. 6 races without a podium. Is there more to this than mental strength? Is there more to this than papaya rules? Or is it papaya rules?
Because the car hasn't changed much. The circuits certainly have, the characteristics certainly have, but the one core thing we used to say about Oscar Piastri in the first half of the season was the fact that his bad days are just not as bad as Lando's. But look at it now. I think his bad days have been worse than Lando's. And we can't just call it a couple of races now because since the Circuit of the Americas, it's been Kota, Mexico, Sao Paulo, and now Las Vegas. 4 races. That's not a few races. That's literally what? Okay, please, math. 1/6 of the championship?
Yeah. But Somil, my question, why did he repost and delete that post? Lewis Hamilton did that at McLaren. He tweeted Jensen Button's telemetry, right? And then, of
I
course, we,
remember.
yes. So, is there more to this? Is where I'm going. Suddenly, Lando's looking like the driver he's always supposed to look like. What was a sudden turn of events? I'm not getting controversial. I'm just asking the questions because it just doesn't seem right to me. Because Oscar's been saying it's the same car. I'm driving the same way, using the same setups, right? I'm just not getting the kind of pace that Lando Norris is getting. Oscar Piastri's race engineer said post race, the pace is there, just not the result we expected. Is it the driver? Is it the car? How do we find out? Is it the team?
Hmm. Sarika says, so has he checked out? I mean, the silence does say something. Or maybe the Insta repost silenced him more.
Or maybe that was him making noise.
It's like a stuck traveler in a ship that's sinking, trying to hit the window and be like, let me out. But what now? You've signed a contract, my friend. Like, you can break the contract the same way you got into this contract. But I don't know. I was wondering about this from day one, right? I was wondering about this from the first day that Oscar Piastri signed. Like, where does he fit? Where does he fit within McLaren? Like, how does this equation work out? Because it's so evident that there is a number one at that team. And the only way for Oscar to find his way out of it is to beat that guy, which he was doing for a while. But then suddenly, I think Monza has punctured his momentum. His more than momentum, his mindset. I feel like. I think
Yeah.
that's. I mean, we didn't feel it at the time. Of course, we thought it was a landmark moment. But when you look back, Kunal, he's not been the same since. Like even in the media, even while driving, Oscar's just been looking lost.
And I'll explain why I agree with that as well. It's not that that stop shouldn't have happened or that whole papaya rules shouldn't have happened, but up until that point, a lot of papaya rules were, and this is not just me, it's a lot of people saying this, felt like it was a way to even things out, but
Yeah,
Lando was the one benefiting. Okay, Oscar must have felt that, wow, if a slow pit stop is also being overturned by papaya rules, what's next? What more do I need to do to keep beating Lando? Is this where he realizes what you just said? This is Lando Norris's team. Who is the number one driver at Red Bull Racing? Max Verstappen,
Max.
right? Who's Mercedes being built around, literally, till now? George Russell, right? Who is it at Ferrari? Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton said he's been there for so long, I need to go there and match him before I beat him. Who is that driver for McLaren? Lando Norris, seven
Yeah.
seasons in. And Abhijit Chaudhary, he's saying that repost and delete from Oscar was classic PR work. Yes, it was PR, but there was a hidden message there. I'm pretty certain of that.
So what now for Oscar Piastri? You can label it as inexperience as to why he's not winning on track, but there's clearly a lot happening behind the scenes. Is he a good fit for McLaren? Do you think it makes sense for him to be there for next year? I think it all depends on testing, honestly.
What do you
And
mean by testing? Of course, he's staying next year. I know you said this on the
he
broadcast, but
is.
I don't think anything's going to be. He's
No, not
not
for
going
next
to.
year. Not for
Yeah.
next year. But as a culture fit, as a long term relationship, I mean, it just comes down to who needs the other person more, and the market dynamics will open up. We will find out if McLaren need a driver like Oscar as much next year, or if Oscar needs a team like McLaren. I mean, maybe they're seventh last year. Who knows? Next year, who knows? It could well be a situation where Oscar wants to leave McLaren because they're not quick enough. But I don't
Okay,
think
could have,
that
would
they
have,
can
should have.
comfortably
But
stay
yeah,
there.
no, no, you're fair. I mean, it's right that, what's next? Does he fit in? It's too early. Maybe they just thought they'll have a number two driver who'll keep bringing in those points. And even with that suspension upgrade, which was brought into Canada, was specifically to help Lando, right? So everyone's saying, the Red Bull is built around Max. Well, the McLaren, changes were also built to give Lando more, comfort. So it goes both ways. But okay, what's next for us? Because we're going to keep going on and on otherwise on McLaren and Oscar rather than McLaren and Lando, because Lando still doesn't make the top three drivers of the season list for me, Soumil.
No, he does not. No, he does not.
Especially after turn one today.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. It
Okay,
has to be Max, George.
Oscar.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
As of this moment, it's like nip and tuck between Oscar and Lando for me. I mean, I'll put it this way: if this is the real Oscar, let's assume this is the real Oscar. That's what everyone's been trying to say. That's what all the biased media is trying to play up. That Lando's taken a step up, right? And Oscar's just unable to match his step. That's what they're saying in different parts of the world, right? I'm not going to
Yeah.
explain more. So if this is the real Oscar, then the Oscar we saw in the first half of the season, my goodness, what was that?
Yeah.
And then if you level that out and you put a baseline, I think Oscar's just been better, because this should have been the Oscar all along, just the way we've been saying this should have been the Lando all along.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah. Qatar will be
subjective
big.
opinions. Yeah.
Qatar will be big. Guys, predictions for Qatar. Time to put it out right now. We should be ending the episode in a couple, so we should get your predictions before we go. I really think Qatar is going to be a big weekend because that's an Oscar track. Like he got a podium there. I think Oscar got a podium in Formula One before Lando Norris did, didn't he? It was Qatar in 22 in the main race or the sprint or something. Oh, he got a win before Lando.
He got
Yeah,
a race win. It was a sprint win.
a
Yes.
sprint win. Yeah. But he won something before Lando,
Mm-hmm.
and and he's always been good around here. And to help Oscar Piastri, it's also a sprint weekend. So now we'll really find out where Oscar Piastri is. Like, how far has he fallen in that regard? But to end, we need to talk about the most hot beef in Formula One. No, that didn't sound right. Let's talk about the hottest beef in Formula One today. And it's not who you think it is. It's not Max versus Lando. It's not Lando versus Oscar. It's not Oscar versus McLaren. It's certainly nobody in the top 10. It's Colapinto versus Stroll. And my God, Kunal, what a battle they had in the media pen. That is the most
Because they can't
unexpected
battle
thing.
on track, they said, let's take it out in the media, right? And what did Lance Stroll say? He said, he's just frustrated. He's not scored points. He needs to focus on scoring points. That sounds like John Elkin, right? Just in Lance Stroll's voice. But yeah, just unfortunate, I guess, two rich boys, or at least one rich son and one with a lot of backing, struggling to find things on track. But I must say, we spoke qualifying. You're speaking Lance Stroll. You know what Lance Stroll said after he got out of Q2 because of his mistake on track? Lance Stroll said, "We missed the opportunity to be first in qualifying." I'm
Oh,
not making this up.
I heard that. I was gobsmacked. I was like, are you what? What?
And before we end, okay, so enough of the Stroll and Colapinto talk, but Mercedes, we were hyping up Mercedes pre-race.
Yeah.
What do you think happened? Do you think they had the pace to win?
I think reality strike. I think, I mean, I'm assuming it's a combination of factors at this point. The fact that it was not as cold as last year. I think it was 14 degrees ambient. Last year it was even lower by a couple
It's
of
12 or
degrees.
something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And a slightly harder tire composition, and the fact that George was not on pole. I think these things compounded everything, and Mercedes just weren't as good. But Kimi was fast, evidently. It could also be Russell's steering issue that makes it look like Mercedes were slightly worse than they actually could have been, I believe.
That's a good point. And then after the first round of pit stops, George went chasing Max Verstappen in those opening two laps. Remember, gentle introduction? He wasn't gentle with that introduction. And that's what cost him, I think, P2 in the race today. I was disappointed when George Russell just let Lando drive past
Yeah,
because I loved Russell's defense as well. But I think Mercedes in general have a less peaky car. And what I mean by that is they've got a car that's more consistent across all the 24 races rather than praying and hoping that it's cold at some of the races where they do well. But yeah, George Russell has never scored three race wins in a calendar. He could have had that chance in Las Vegas, but I don't think Qatar and Abu Dhabi are going to be those places for him.
it's gonna be interesting. And then we straight up go to 26. It'll be so much fun. Final few comments before we leave though. Sarika said Horner said Zach Brown has changed since the DTS fame. Does that mean that Zach Brown built a always number one driver team and Horner wanted to be the only one? Not too
That's
sure.
another beef, but okay.
Yeah, I'm not too sure I fully understand it, but I think the papaya rules culture is sort of breaking up. Like it's not equal. Yeah,
Yeah, but since we mentioned papaya rules and we know Red Bull gives you wings, Abhijit Chaudhary has said something. Ferrari gives you midlife crisis. Yes, unfortunately,
what a
Soumil,
bombshell to end on.
through history, we've seen this, haven't we?
We have. It's always happened. Your name might be Vettel, Prost, Alonso, Hamilton, Mansell, you name it. Everyone's gone through it. Smart one, Jackie Stewart never went to Ferrari and made his own name and made his own team afterwards. But guys, I think it's a good time to end this episode. It's been really fun. Kunal and I have had a really long day. Kunal will have a long day as well now
It
because
started at 4 a.m. in the morning. I
yeah,
mean, not that I love my early mornings, but
and it's what like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something for you.
it's 8 and it is still as dark outside. Not that I'm
My God,
complaining. Maybe
my
hopefully some
God.
snow coming our way as well.
So let's get Kunal some early rest today. We I should also head. There's lots of fun stuff
What
coming.
do you, what do you mean rest? Rest comes in the evening when my daughter Antara will go to sleep because she's going to wake up any minute now.
Oh yeah, exactly. But by the way, guys, we'll also be on Fancode's Gearbox podcast this week. So that's going to be recorded tomorrow, but it only comes out later the next week. So I think Thursday, Friday. If you do have suggestions for what we can talk about, because basically we decide it's just fun, we can do that. You can let us know what you'd like to discuss. It's more of a magazine show, so we can talk about things like what we discussed today and also other topics. So if there's any story you feel like discussing, DM us, follow us on Inside Line F1 Pod. on YouTube and Instagram, and you should be able to interact with us fully, freely at any time. Catch you guys. We will see you in a bit.